After my wife cheated with her boss. The signature is 1201, which is opposite my house. After reading the contents of the note, I was stunned. Subconsciously thought it was a prank. But I suddenly remembered that 1201 seemed to be a corporate slave. He is usually very busy at work, and there were several times when I saw him coming back in the middle of the night. So he shouldn't be so idle as to play such a stupid prank. A feeling of uneasiness suddenly arose in my heart. I knocked on his door, wanting to ask him something. But no one responded. It seems that he went out to work. I had no choice but to go home first. But as soon as I entered the door, I was stunned by the scene before me. The house is a mess. The takeout piled on the table gave off a foul stench. My wife's underwear was all over the floor. Most of them are of the erotic type. I've never seen my wife wear it. She behaved very conservatively in front of me. And I have always believed so. My intuition tells me. My wife didn't buy these sexy lingerie for me. Could it be that I was cheated on? It wasn't until I walked into the bathroom that the question turned into an affirmative sentence. I was indeed green. Not only had the position of the razor in the bathroom changed, but there were also a lot of beard residues on it. And I clearly cleaned it before I left. To make matters worse, I found birth control pills on the sink. You know, I always wear a condom. My wife said that we had just been married for a short time, our careers were unstable, and we didn't want children yet. I respect her, but I'm also worried that the medication might harm her health, so I always wear a condom. Wait, my wife bought birth control pills, right? I rushed into the bedroom, opened the bedside table and took a look. Sure enough, the condoms had been used up. You know, I still had 2 full boxes left before I left. My mind went blank in an instant. One of them lost his balance and collapsed to the ground. Just then, my wife's WeChat message came. What time will you be home tomorrow? I thought about it and decided not to tell her that I was going home early. I want to investigate her secretly. Find out which strange man she is fooling around with behind my back. This pair of dogs will definitely pay the price. Honey, my flight is at 6 p.m. tomorrow, so I probably won't be home until 9 p.m. Okay, got it. There was no extra concern, nor any words like, I miss you so much since I haven't seen you for so long. All she seemed to care about was what time I got home. I guess she asked me this so she could plan her time properly. She has to go to work, fool around with her lover, and clean the house before I come back. It seems that she has a hard time. I pulled my suitcase out the door. I found a hotel nearby, put my luggage away, and took a taxi straight to my wife's company. She works in administration at a private company. Her salary is not high, but it is a leisurely life. Every day I go to work, drink tea, do some fishing, and then leave on time after get off work. I asked someone to find this job for her. When I arrived at her company, it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. My wife should be off work in half an hour. I waited at the door of her company and decided to follow her after she came out. But I waited, and until 8 o'clock in the evening, I still didn't see my wife. Could it be that she is working overtime? That shouldn't be the case. With that amount of work, why should she work overtime? Could it be that she didn't come to work at all? After waiting for about another hour, I couldn't take it anymore. I was already tired after coming back from a business trip, and after waiting here for so long, I couldn't hold on any longer. Just when I was about to go back to the hotel to sleep, a familiar voice instantly perked me up. Hate it, we're outside, what if someone sees us, Tilda? Whose voice could this be other than my wife's? What are you afraid of? It's so late, no one will be here. Besides, isn't this more exciting? I saw a man standing behind my wife. While kissing him, he also put his hands into his wife's clothes and touched her randomly. Not only did my wife not struggle, but she looked like she was enjoying it. Judging from the proficiency of their movements, this was obviously not the first time they had done this. And I have never seen my wife show such an expression in front of me. When will your guy come back? Tomorrow night. Then we have plenty of time during the day. Tomorrow is the weekend, so we can go to your house next time. Oh my, you are so bad, Tilda. What would your husband think if he knew you were having sex with another man at home while he was away on a business trip? Don't mention that pig head, it's a bummer. Listening to their conversation, my blood pressure soared to 180. What else would I think? I want to kill you two shameless bitches. Just when I wanted to rush out and beat the couple to death with the bricks on the ground. The man's face was revealed. It was him. This man's name is Wang Yuan, and he is my wife's immediate superior. Several times before, when I went to pick up my wife from get off work, I ran into him and his wife walking out together. I always thought it was a coincidence. But now it seems that they should have started from that time. This Wang Yuan looks like a decent man, wearing a suit, tie, and a slicked back hair. Fortunately, I had a good impression of him before. It is true that you can judge a person by his appearance but not by his heart. He knew that his female subordinate was married, yet he still did such a damnable thing. What a beast! And from the tone of his voice, it was not difficult to tell that he enjoyed the pleasure of playing me like a fool. Good. 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 Since you want to play, I'll play with you till the end. After some thought, I gave up my plan of rushing out and beating them to death. After all, this is too cheap for them. I will torture them severely and make them regret coming into this world. After the couple had made love, they drove away and no one knew where they were going. I didn't follow them and went back to their hotel. You can guess what they are going to do next. Fortunately, the whole process of their intimacy was recorded by my mobile phone. After a quick wash-up in the hotel, I called my childhood friend Aze. This guy is a rich second generation. Although he does nothing and is idle all day long, his character is impeccable. Moreover, he has a wide network of contacts and is very experienced, so I will consult him whenever I am unsure about something. What's wrong, Ajwar? Aren't you on a business trip? Why are you calling me so late? He and I grew up together, so I wasn't afraid of embarrassment and told him everything about my wife's affair. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, he was more excited than me. Fuck, that guy's name is Wang Yuan, right? Do you want me to find some brothers to cripple him? How dare he sleep with your wife? I think he is tired of living. Don't worry, Aze. He will suffer physical pain, but at the same time, he must also suffer mental torture. Well, go and help me investigate him first to see if he has any shameful secrets. Then he'll cry. Aze agreed and said he would give me news soon. By the way, I've got something good for you. I think you might find it useful. After a while, Aze sent me a string of codes. What is this? I asked in confusion. This is a virus program recently developed by our company's technical department. As long as you follow the instructions to implant the corresponding device, you can get all the information of this device, and you can also synchronize messages. It can be said to be a magical tool for spying on other people's secrets. After listening to what Aze said, I smiled helplessly. He's right, I might be able to use it. After writing down the instructions, I hung up the phone. I lay in bed, but couldn't fall asleep. The thought that at this moment my wife is lying in the arms of another man. My heart feels like it's being weighed down by a huge rock and I can't let it go. Tonight is destined to be sleepless. The next night, I returned home on time at 9 o'clock. As soon as you enter the door, a fragrance hits your nose. The house had been cleaned up and there was no trace of any suspicious signs. Seeing me come back, my wife hurried out to greet me and then threw herself into my arms. Honey, I haven't seen you for a week. I miss you so much, Tilda, she said to me in a very sweet voice. If it were in the past, I would probably have cried out of emotion. But unfortunately, I have already seen your true face. You bitch. I miss you so much, too, my wife Tilda. In order not to alert the enemy, I decided to act with her. Give me a kiss, husband Tilda. After saying that, she pretended to kiss me. But when I thought about how she had just kissed another man passionately, my stomach felt queasy and I almost vomited. Honey, I'm going to take a shower first so I don't get you dirty. I dodged and quickly went into the bathroom. After taking a shower, my wife put on a sexy set of lingerie and hugged me to make love to me. But I refused on the grounds that I was too tired after returning from a business trip. Died of laughter. With all the shit you've done, you're worthy enough to touch me now? I'm afraid of getting sick. Go find your boss now. Don't come and harm me. Although my wife looked disappointed, she still fell asleep immediately. After all, she had to accompany her lover and clean the house today. But she was exhausted. After making sure that my wife was sleeping soundly, I turned over and sat up. After taking her cell phone, I quietly went to the study. As I expected, my wife changed her cell phone password. You know, her previous password was my birthday. Fortunately, I have the black technology that Ace gave me, so I don't have to guess too much. I have to say that Ace is really foresighted. After some operations, all the information in my wife's mobile phone was transferred to the computer. After putting her phone back in its place, I returned to the study. Sitting in front of the computer, I took a deep breath. Although I had known about their affair for a long time, I was still a little nervous when I really had to face it. When I finally plucked up the courage to open WeChat, I was still so shocked that I was speechless. It is a hot July, but my heart is as cold as an ice cave. At first I thought the person pinned to my wife's WeChat with the note husband was me. But when I looked more closely, I found something wrong. This is not my WeChat avatar. When I clicked into their chat history, I saw that the guy was indeed Wang Yuan. It seems that there is true love between them. The official version certified by my country is actually redundant. The content of their chat was even more explosive. Boss Wang, please don't do that in the office next time. It makes me so scared. Oh, what are you afraid of? Isn't this more exciting? I see you're enjoying it too. You're so mean, Tilda. I looked at the timing of their conversation. It was exactly 1 month after she joined the company. I am stupid. I never expected that this pair of dogs would have hooked up with each other so early. And judging from the chat records, it was actually my wife who seduced Wang Yuan first. Plus, I guess Wang Yuan has been interested in my wife for a long time. So the two of them started to have an affair. Finally they crossed the line and openly had an affair in the company under the pretext of working overtime. After that, they often fooled around together. Sometimes at work, sometimes in a hotel, sometimes in the car. Last week, while I was on a business trip, my wife actually brought him home to have sex. When I saw this, 1,000 horses galloped through my heart. What the fuck? My wife, who is pure, conservative and gentle in front of me, is like a completely different person behind my back. She is vile, wanton, and shameless, just a stinky bitch. If you scroll down, you can also see what my wife said about me. Don't mention that dead pig in my house. I feel sick when I see him now. I don't know what I was thinking in the first place to marry him. Of course he can't compare to you. You're handsome, rich, and humorous. Why didn't I meet you earlier? It is a blessing for him to marry me. Treating me well and coaxing me is what he should do. He's too honest, very boring, and not very skilled in that area, but one good thing about him is that he never doubts me and always hands over my monthly salary. After seeing this, I finally understood. It turns out that in my wife's mind, I'm just an ATM. While this couple was making love somewhere else, I was at home like a servant, washing clothes and cooking for her. I was afraid that she would not be safe on the way home, so I drove to pick her up. The more I think about it now, the more I feel like a sand dollar. In one of their most recent chats, their wife made some outrageous remarks. What's so good about that bitch in your family? She's old and ugly, and she keeps an eye on you all day long. I can divorce him. He's not important anyway. As long as you divorce him, we can be together right away. I couldn't believe that this was what the person next to me said. Every word in these thousands of chat records lashes me like a whip. The heart that once loved my wife deeply is now scarred. It has not been easy for my wife and I to get to know each other, fall in love, and get married. I believe that the bond between us is deep and unbreakable. But what I didn't expect was that she said the word divorce so easily. It seems that all this is just my wishful thinking. After returning to the bedroom, looking at my sleeping wife, I suddenly had the urge to strangle her to death on the spot. But my reason tells me that it is not worth sacrificing my future for such a bad person. I didn't sleep in the same bed with her, but instead spent the night on the sofa. Because she was so dirty that it made me sick to my stomach. The next morning, I was woken up by my wife's phone call. Hello, Mr. Wang, I'm here, what can I do for you? Okay. I'll be there soon. Please wait for me. You have to work on weekends? I asked, pretending to be concerned. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. The company recently received a big order, so we have a lot to do. Then I'll drive you. No need, my colleague has a car, you can sleep more. There is no doubt that this adulterous couple is going to go out and have sex again. Looking at my wife who was dressed up beautifully, my heart suddenly felt sour. Because I've never seen her dress so beautifully when she goes out on a date with me. Before leaving, she came over and kissed me. But I avoided her by saying I was going to the bathroom. I don't want to have any physical contact with her now. After my wife left, I went to the study and checked their latest chat records. Only then did I realize that it was Wen Yuan who was waiting for her at the gate of the community. No wonder I didn't need to send him there. And the place where they worked overtime was not in the company, but in room 1601 of the Royal Court Hotel. Just as I was loudly greeting their whole family, Ace called me and brought me information about Wen Yuan. You don't know until you check, and you'll be shocked when you do. It turns out that Wen Yuan not only has a wife, but he is also a son-in-law. His father-in-law is a famous real estate owner in our city. The reason why Wen Yuan was able to become a leader was all thanks to the support of his father-in-law. But these are not the most critical. Ace told me that he sent someone to follow Wen Yuan for a while and accidentally discovered his shocking secret. This guy actually has an affair with his wife's best friend. As soon as they met, they went straight to their hotel. I just exclaimed, "Great guy." There is a red flag flying at home and colorful flags fluttering outside. When Luo Moxian comes, everyone has to call him master. And this is good news for me too. The more dirt he has, the better it is for me. After hanging up the phone, Ace sent me the evidence of Wen Yuan cheating on his wife's best friend and the contact information of some relevant people. This is a piece of cake for Ace, after all, he has the money. After some thought, I came up with an interesting idea. You little bastards, I'm going to kill you. I immediately asked Ace to get a new mobile phone number for me, and then used it to send a text message to Wen Yuan's wife. You are so ugly, you are not worthy of my Wen Yuan. If you are smart, divorce him immediately. We should live happily together. Almost immediately, his wife called me. But how could I possibly answer? After hanging up, I continued texting. Don't call me, we are working on something, he is really great. Later, his wife sent me a bunch of messages and called me more than a dozen times. But I ignored them. If nothing unexpected happens, my wife should be back soon. Sure enough, just half an hour later, I heard the door open. Wife, why did you come back so soon? I asked knowingly. The leader had an urgent meeting to attend, so he asked us all to come back. My wife said calmly. Although she hid it well, I still caught her sense of loss and unhappiness. At dinner that night, my wife suddenly looked up and said to me, "Honey, my parents are coming tomorrow, you should go pick them up then." I frowned when I heard this, but I still replied, "Okay, I understand." When those two old guys come, you can guess what they are going to do with your butt. It's nothing more than helping their beloved son buy a house. Speaking of my brother-in-law, I have to say that he is really useless. He didn't study hard and only went to a junior college. After graduation, he couldn't find a suitable job, so he just gave up and stayed at home all day, eating and waiting to die. It is said that he was dating a girl a while ago, whom he met online. I just can't understand why that woman would like such a thing. The girl said that she would marry her brother as long as they could find a wedding house. When the two old guys heard about it, they were so happy. From time to time, they would ask me to borrow money for the down payment for their son. And each loan is for hundreds of thousands. Where the hell did I get so much money? Do you really think my money came from the wind? In the past, I might have borrowed a little. But now my heart is dead. What does their son buying a house have to do with me? He is not my son. Mother-in-law and brother-in-law, all of you, get out of here. The next morning, I was planning to pick up my wife's parents. But halfway through the drive, I suddenly realized. I don't catch a shit. Their daughter treated me like this, and I was still going to pick them up? You're dreaming. So I decisively changed direction and went to play with Ace. During this period, my wife called me countless times, but I didn't answer. After sending her a WeChat message telling her that something happened at the company, I ignored her. When I got home after having fun, it was already evening. As soon as I entered the door, a depressing atmosphere enveloped me. I saw my wife and her parents sitting in a row, 3 pairs of eyes staring at me. It looked as if he wanted to cut me into pieces. Wangjua, what the hell do you mean? Why don't you go pick up my parents? Do you know how expensive it is to take a taxi from their high-speed rail station? My wife was the first one to stand up and accuse me. Let's not talk about it. Doesn't the company have a sudden meeting? Our company's boss is here, and I have no choice but to go. I said innocently. Bullshit. I think you did it on purpose. You stood my parents up. The wife became more and more excited, her face turning red. If you think so, there's nothing I can do about it, I said with a dead pig-like attitude. When her mother saw my attitude, she got angry and stood up to blame me. But before she could finish her words, she was stopped by her father. I saw her father wink at her mother, then said to me kindly, "It's okay, Xiaojue, we know you're busy. If you don't want to answer the call, then don't answer it, it's not a big deal. Our dad is still a reasonable person." I didn't want to be too arrogant. After all, now was not the time to turn hostile. Her father coughed lightly and continued, "It's like this, Xiaojue. We're here for nothing else but Xiaoyang's matter. I just knew it. Xiaojue, be honest, when you and Lily got married, we didn't give you any trouble about the gift, did we?" I smiled and nodded. "You didn't make things difficult for me, that's because I gave a one-time betrothal gift of 188,000 yuan, which was far beyond the local average. You know, it's not easy for Xiaoyang to find a girl he likes. Now everything is ready, except for the house. You also want to see Xiaoyang get married soon, right?" I nodded on the surface, but I was full of disdain in my heart. "What does it have to do with me whether your son gets married or not? He is not my son. The current situation is like this. We recently found a 3-bedroom, 1 living room house. It's in the school district and is suitable in other aspects. So we have to sell it as soon as possible, otherwise it will be snatched away by someone else. But the down payment for this house is quite expensive, and we are short of money right now. You are Xiaoyang's brother-in-law, so as long as you are willing, this house will definitely be ours." I was too lazy to listen to all his nonsense, so I interrupted him directly. "Dad, how much difference do you mean?" "Not much, just 500,000. Fuck. This is cold almost. I want to take a sip of water and spray it on this old Biden. I'll help you with a down payment of 500,000 yuan out of a total of more than 1 million yuan. Does that mean I also have to help your son repay the subsequent loan? Then I might as well buy it and live in it myself. What a bunch of delusional weirdos." I was originally planning to refuse outright, but I changed my mind when the words came to my lips. "Don't worry, Mom and Dad. Xiaoyang is my brother-in-law, so of course I have to support him with all my strength. It's only 500,000 yuan, I'll pay for it." When she heard what I said, her parents' eyes lit up instantly. Even my wife's eyes became tender when she looked at me. "Mother, let me tell you, Xiaojue will definitely agree. It was the right decision to let Lily marry him." Her father's eyes almost narrowed into slits due to laughter. "Xiaojue, don't worry. If you and Lily have a child in the future, leave the child to us. We will definitely raise the child to be plump and healthy." Her mother also quickly tried to please me. "You are too polite, old ladies. We are family and we should not have different opinions," I said modestly. Yes. We are all family. So when will this money be paid?" her father asked tentatively. This old guy is so anxious. "That's right, Dad. I really want to give it to you now, but I have put the money in the bank for financial management, so I can't take it out right away." "How long will it take?" "A good house doesn't wait." I pretended to think for a moment, then said slowly, 2 weeks at most. I will definitely be able to get it when the time comes. Okay. There's still time. Hearing my affirmative answer, her parents finally smiled again. After the conversation, her parents actually invited me to dinner at a 5-star hotel for the first time. The average per capita consumption here is nearly 5,000 yuan. It seems that they really spent a lot of money for their son. Before going to bed at night, my wife was unusually passionate towards me. It can be said that the whole family is now immersed in joy. Laugh quickly. The happier you laugh now, the more miserable you will cry later. When I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I went to the study and used the computer to look at their latest chat records. "You haven't compensated me for what happened that day, and you ran away halfway through. Are you still a man? My dear aunt, please be quiet for a while. My man is keeping a close eye on me now, so please don't contact me for now. Don't you always say you love me? Then why are you afraid of her?" "I don't care, you have to." I was shocked when I saw they said no contact. How can we not contact each other? Wouldn't my plan be ruined then? Looks like it's time for me to take action. So from the next day on, I became like a different person, finding fault with my wife in all kinds of ways. When she puts on makeup, I say she looks ugly. When she buys things, I say she is a spendthrift. When she doesn't eat cleanly, I say she doesn't respect farmers. Anyway, I will do whatever makes her feel uncomfortable. You know, I always obeyed her in everything before, how could she bear this now? So we were almost always arguing these days. I didn't even bother to coax her, I just wanted to piss her off to death. One night I heard her complaining to her parents, but she was choked back. Xiaojuo works so hard, what's wrong with me saying a few words to you? You are an adult in your 20s. I hope you can mature a little. Divorce. If you dare to say these 2 words again, your mother and I will come over and break your legs right now. Died of laughter. Not to mention that I scolded her, even if I hit her, her parents would tell her to endure it. After all, I am a walking 500,000. Finally, my wife couldn't stand me anymore and went on a business trip with Wen Yuan. He said he was on a business trip, but those who understand will understand. Things developed just as I expected. After getting the hotel and room number they were going to, I sent the address to someone. Brother, it's up to you now. About 40 minutes later, the brother sent me a video. I took out the barbecue and beer that I had ordered earlier and slowly enjoyed them. The beginning of the video is a king bomb. I saw a muscular man snatching the universal room card from a cleaning lady passing by and then opened the door. After the door opened, the muscular man and another strong man rushed in directly, followed by the person filming the video. All 3 of them were wearing masks and hats, making it impossible to identify their identities. My wife's scream was the first to resound throughout the room. Who are you? What are you going to do? Wang Yuan and his wife were seen speaking frankly to each other, their faces filled with panic. The muscular man went up and punched Wang Yuan in the stomach without saying a word. Damn it, you bastard, you dare to cheat on me, you must be tired of living, beat me to death. The muscular man called on the strong man next to him, and they started punching and kicking Wang Yuan together. Wang Yuan was as thin as a monkey, so it was useless to struggle and he could only take the beating silently. My wife desperately covered her body with a quilt and shivered in a corner. Stop hitting me, I surrender. Wang Yuan soon couldn't hold on any longer and said in an extremely weak voice. Seeing this, the muscular man grabbed his hair and asked loudly, "Does it hurt?" Of course it hurts, there are more painful things. After saying that, the muscular man slapped him hard again. Their wife couldn't stand it anymore and shouted distressfully, "If you hit me again, I will call the police." The muscular man became interested when he heard this. Want to call the police? Come on, I'll give you my phone, you call the police. At this moment, Wang Yuan suddenly became excited. No. You can't call the police. The muscular man asked back, why can't you report it? We beat you up, shouldn't you call the police and have us arrested? Because once the police are called, his affairs with his female subordinate and his wife's best friend will be exposed. Once everyone knows about it, his good days will be over. By then, not only will his wife divorce him, but the company may also fire him. He slept with my wife just for fun, so how could he possibly sacrifice his happy life? Listen to me, you stinky dog. If you dare to contact my wife again, I will castrate you. Before leaving, the muscular man still felt unsatisfied, so he kicked Wang Yuan's little brother directly. The screams like a pig being slaughtered echoed in the room. Watching Wang Yuan rolling on the ground in pain, I feel more relaxed than ever before. The video ends here. And this muscular man is none other than the husband of Wang Yuan's wife's best friend. A man who shares the same pain as me. After learning that his wife was going on a business trip, I contacted him in advance and sent him the evidence that his wife had an affair with Wang Yuan. He was as angry as I was and nearly fainted. I told him that if he did as I said, not only would he be able to beat up Wang Yuan, but Wang Yuan would not dare to call the police. Hence this video. Just when I was full and ready to go to bed, my wife came back. Wife, you're on a business trip, why are you back so soon? I pretended to be surprised. She said calmly, the leader had something urgent to do, so it was cancelled. TSK. She lies very easily now. I was too lazy to expose her and let her continue to think that I was a fool who was kept in the dark. In the next few days, my wife and Wang Yuan didn't talk to each other anymore. No matter what his wife sent him, he didn't reply. I guess he was scared after being beaten, and we are investigating who did it. And I have been thinking about how to deal a fatal blow to this pair of dogs. I never thought that the opportunity would come to me. My wife told me that her company is going to hold a celebratory dinner in a 5-star hotel in 2 days, and she will be performing there, so she asked me to send her off. She also said that many big names from their company would also be there, which would be the strongest lineup. God is really helping me. Isn't he this kind of grand scene exactly what I want? So I quickly contacted Ace and asked him to use his money to bribe the behind-the-scenes staff in advance. When the time comes, as long as I give the order, there will be a good show to watch. Soon it was the day of the dinner. After sending my wife to their hotel, I went to their high-speed rail station to pick up her parents. Of course my wife didn't know they were coming. This is what I shouted secretly. I also specifically asked them not to tell my wife so that I could give her a surprise when the time comes. When we arrived at the hotel, it was my wife's turn to sing. She put on a very delicate makeup today and wore a noble and elegant evening dress. When she stepped onto the stage, the lights immediately became dreamy. The giant LED screen behind her also played some beautiful images. I have to say, she sings really well. Everyone was immersed in her beautiful singing. Her parents also looked proud. When she was halfway through singing, I secretly took out my cell phone and sent a text message to a number. Get started. Almost in an instant, the originally harmonious and beautiful picture on the screen immediately became stimulating. Who are you? What are you going to do? Stop hitting me. I surrender. If you hit me again, I'll call the police. Everyone was shocked by this sudden video of catching an adulterer. Shu Lily, my wife, stood there stupidly, motionless, as if petrified. Her parents were also shocked. They had never seen such a scene in their entire lives, especially since the protagonist of the video was their proud daughter. Although everyone was shocked, their hands were not idle. Many people immediately took out their mobile phones and started recording. This made Shu Lily very anxious. She shouted, "Stop recording," and tried to block the big screen with her tiny body. I pretended to be heartbroken and said to her parents, "Mom, Dad, I didn't expect Lily to be such a person. She already has me, why would she?" As I was talking, a few drops of small pearls flowed out of me. Xiaojua, there must be some misunderstanding here. The woman in the video can't be Lily. Her father hurriedly began to comfort me. Yes, isn't AI face changing very popular now? This video must be fake. Her mother quickly agreed. Stop speaking for Lily. Doesn't her current reaction speak for itself? I said with deep sorrow. Her parents were speechless for a moment and wished they could dig a hole and crawl into it. Dad, Mom, I'm leaving now. I want to be alone. Then I left the hotel regardless of their dissuasion. As luck would have it, I actually ran into Wang Yuan in the hotel's underground parking lot. It seemed that he couldn't stand the pressure and was ready to run away. But this is just as well, as I haven't yet personally avenged my wife's theft. I chose the right moment, and when he walked into the blind spot of the surveillance camera, I attacked him from behind. What I didn't expect was that he was so weak that he fainted immediately. I guess the injury he suffered from the muscular man hasn't healed yet, so he's so weak. After confirming that he was still breathing, I left quickly. Before leaving, I didn't forget to kick his little brother again. Dare you cheat on me? I will make you a eunuch for the rest of your life. 14. The next day, Shu Lily and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce. Her parents called me countless times. But I didn't listen. I knew what they were going to say. In the end, I simply blocked the entire family. When I met Shu Lily, I found that both sides of her face were a little swollen. It seems that she was educated by her parents. I can only say it was a good fight. After all, she did such a despicable thing and brought shame to her parents. What hurts her parents the most is probably that they can't get the 500,000 yuan from me for free and use it to buy a house for their son. But I don't feel sorry for this bad woman. I just think her parents were too lenient. Soon, the divorce procedures were completed. She chose to leave the house with nothing. The reason is that he looks down on the little property my family has. She said Wang Yuan would give her better. This is exactly what I want and saves me a lot of trouble. She also said that marrying me was the worst decision she had ever made in her life and that it was a waste of her best years. I laughed and didn't say anything more to her. By the way, it suddenly occurred to me that Wang Yuan's wife seems not to have watched that video yet. I originally thought that his wife would come to yesterday's dinner, but when I asked around, I found out that his wife was traveling abroad and would not be back for a few days. So after organizing all the evidence of Wang Yuan's cheating, I sent it to his wife. Ace had helped me find the contact information before. I also sent a copy to Ace and asked him to spread it through special channels. The more people know, the better. You, Shu Lily, also want to live a good life? No way. About 3 days later, Ace called me and shared with me the tragic situation of Wang Yuan and Shu Lily. He told me that Wang Yuan's wife returned to China as soon as she saw the video. After completing the divorce procedures, she hired someone to kidnap Wang Yuan and Shu Lily. The next time they were found was next to a trash can. It is said that they were covered in wounds and blood, and were probably close to death. After hearing the news, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. All I can say is, they deserve it. After thanking Ace, I hung up the phone. A few minutes later, another call came in, and it was from an unfamiliar number. I picked it up and listened, and it turned out to be Shu Lily's father. He told me that Shu Lily was beaten badly by someone and was now in the ICU. He asked me if I could lend him some money to save his daughter based on our old friendship. In response, I only replied with 2 words. Get out.